Candy, that was so extremely entertaining. I was just hoping that you had some more anecdotes you could tell us about LRH.
Are you sure you want to hear that?
Oh, yeah. Please.
Okay. Well, I was on the ship for a while, but I have a dear, dear friend of mine, dearly departed a little over a year ago, that I think I'll tell the story of first. Okay, it's Alan Walter. When I was on the ship as the first returning old-timer, and that means a lot, I was in a very high condition. I was in power, and I had already been on the ship before, and I returned to the ship, which is why I was called the first returning old-timer. Hannah Eltringham, what's her name now, the last name?
Whitman.
Whitman, or Whitfield? Whitman? Anyway, Hannah had fired me off along with Kima. Jason was her last name.
Is that Kima Dunleavy?
Yeah. Kima Dunleavy, who was also Kima Douglas in the end, this wonderful, wonderful person. They sent me off to the ship as the first returning old-timer in a good condition. Most people went back there in chains, in a lower condition, like this. So it was a big deal. And I went to the ship, and the first thing I get there after I meet Ron, and I'm Tommy Dunleavy's communicator, like a secretary. Let's see. In the orders of the day it says, Alan Walter is on board and he's not to be talked to. No one can talk to Alan Walter. It's forbidden, forbidden. No one can talk to him or see him. And Loy Young, who will be watching this, I'm sure, was his twin to redo the 8-course, something like this, down in the bowels of the ship, way down, away from everybody. Well, you tell me don't talk to someone, excuse me, that's who I'm going to go seek out and talk to. And Loy Young and I had done this wonderful, well, she wasn't young yet. Loy was Loy Combs. She hadn't been married to Bob Young yet, so here we go. Get my facts straight, of course. Loy Combs, this gorgeous redhead that had done a mission, a tech mission with me to every Scientology organization in the United States, and we did a very NARC mission. That means with affinity, reality, and communication, not to kill people. We did a wonderful trip around the place. She was there on the ship already when I got there, and she's twinning with Alan Walter, this big guy, sexy man. And so I went down as often as I could to say hi to Loy, and there's Alan. Well, should I tell the real story of Alan?
Oh, by all means.
Oh, dear. Okay, I'll have to do it. Because I'm coming clean. I'm turning 65 in 2 months, and life's too short to not tell the juicy parts. So, well, L. Ron Hubbard, I'm getting cold, sorry, and Mary Sue Hubbard had Christmas for everyone on the ship. We're all up there, this huge room, and they're going to show a film on the wall or somewhere in this giant room for all the staff. Well, I'd been auditing Quentin that day. I think Belle Cassine Frage, was CS5 at the time, and he was my CS. And Joan Robertson was there too, I remember. We're all on this ship of fools. And so I'd done Quentin's session, so I got there very late. It was very intentional. I had to do all my paperwork up from Quentin's session. And I turned it in, and I go up. Everyone's there. No one was out and about. Just a couple of people in charge of the ship. And there's not a seat anywhere in the place. And the movie had already started. It's Christmas Eve. We're having a movie. So I go and I sit on Alan Walter's lap. That's my seat. And I sat on his lap the whole time. And afterwards, I went to where Loy Combs was, and I say, by the way, Loy, would you go tell Alan Walter for me that I will go have sex with him tonight? And she goes and tells Alan, and she told me that he was so shocked and so startled. He told me that he couldn't stand up and walk right away for a while there. And we met off the ship, and we had this incredible romantic relationship, meeting away from the ship, and on the way home in the morning, you know, from some wonderful Moroccan lovely place, like some, would have lovely dinner, and then would go to this beautiful hotel. And then in the morning, Alan would go talk to the Khan of the watch, and he's a big guy. And so I'd sneak on board and I'd get in. So when I left the ship at night and when I get on in the morning, I never signed in or out. We managed to somehow make it so that I could get on off the ship with no one knowing. Because it was very important to me to not let people know that I was doing something we weren't supposed to be doing. I can take full responsibility for having done it, but I didn't want to get Hubbard mad at me and pounding on that banister, you know? So, at any rate, Alan was just an incredible person. And when Mary Sue, when her letter to the IRS, can I tell about this, Gary?
Sure, why not?
Why not? When her letter came through me, because I was the person in charge of setting up CIC, Command Info Center, right? For Tony Dunleavy. I went in Lisbon and bought all the corkboard. I put up this giant corkboard and I stuck up a giant map of the world and I put all the pins there. I started the whole thing. I'd been an executive secretary in New York City at 19. I also statusized the whole New York org at 19 when I was on staff there under Vicky, who became Vicky Palameni. Vicky was my boss, and I got bored putting people's letters into their in baskets and moving their out basket paperwork somewhere else. So I interviewed everybody on staff in New York org, Bob Thomas, Eunice Ford, this incredible staff of people. And I said, what's your job about? And what do you do here? And I wrote it down. I was like, I don't need the Scientology stuff. I'm just in here for fun because Ira thinks it's a good game. All right. Well, I didn't take the comm course. I was like, no, thank you. I'm fully aware of all my past lives. Thank you very much. I don't really need the staff, right? That's how I started. So I go around and I staticize every single job in the place. What are your stats? What are your products? Right, statistical analysis, right? And I write up these things, and Vicky sends them off to Ron and Mary Sue Hubbard. I get a telex back awarding me as a bonus all my grades free of charge because I did such an excellent job. I'm the one, I'm sorry to say, that put stats into Scientology.
Oh, no, you're the one.
It was fun. It was games. They twisted and altered it and perverted it and used it to hurt people. Bloody hell. It's just to help you, just like the OCA test. It's not to do people in. It's to raise your awareness. Oh, your stats are down this week. Okay, let's fix them. Let's not kill people for it. So anyway, let's not make this story go on too long. But I did, Paige Thomas, Bob Thomas's wife, was my auditor. And she did all my quickie grades at the time. So I never stopped talking since that time. And I'm on the ship, Alan Walter. Everything is great. I'm with Tony Dunleavy. He's my boss. I'm setting up CIC. And all the mail coming on to the ship goes through me. And I send it to everybody. Sounds familiar, like New York org. All the mail going off the ship, every bulletin, every flag order, everything went through me to get off the ship. I had to read everything, in and off. That was my job, CIC. Well, there was this letter that Mary Sue Hubbard wrote. to the IRS to turn in Alan Walter, the top mission holder on the planet, an incredibly gifted person. I went and I told Alan Walter, hello, we're all about communication. Why on earth is she doing this, you know? Guardian's office is turning in this guy. So I clued in Alan Walter, who thanked me very much and went and called up his mission when he was on shore. Mission head lady, who went ahead and they handled this whole thing in one manner or another. When John McMasters, the first clear that was acknowledged, clear number 1, because there were many clears many years up before that, he sent in his letter of resignation to the Church of Scientology, resigning from the church late 1969. I read that letter. It went to Ron and Mary Sue. Now, whatever happened after that is what everyone else knows, but no one knows, I bet, that John McMaster sent in that letter of resignation himself. Started the ball rolling, sent it to Ron and Mary Sue. So, the point being, I think we're done with this segment. I guess it was about Alan Walter. Very, very, very wonderful man and very good friend of mine. All right, we can shut that.